Hey yo, hey yo. Hey yo. So, don't have too many leads that I need to follow up with. That I need to follow up with, but I got one in particular that I wanted to give a call back to, um, that could possibly turn into something hot here. So I wanted to be sure that I hopped on and got it on camera. This is just a woman who I cold called about 9 days ago, about a week ago, or longer. She said that she was interested in selling, but she had surgery done recently, and that she wouldn't be ready to move forward with anything for another 2-ish months. She needs to recover and rehab. These are the notes that I left for myself. I did receive permission to follow up with her in a few weeks to learn about the condition of the property to determine if we'd be a good fit. So I really don't know much about it at all, but I know that she had surgery and that she's interested in selling. I don't know if one is because of the other. I don't know if she's interested in selling because she had surgery, but I know that that's a thing. People run into unexpected medical bills that they need to take care of and don't have the means to pay for it, and then they look to their biggest asset, which is their house. So they look to liquidate, downsize, or whatever the case may be. So I'm gonna give her a call, try to have her open up a bit. Last time when I cold called her, she was really talking like she wasn't wanting to. She really wasn't wanting to do anything in the foreseeable future got until she recovered, and that's what I'm going to try to do. My best at on this call here is to try to let her know that putting an agreement in place now is beneficial. That way we can get moving on everything so that when she is ready to just go ahead and close and hand the property over to us, we've already done all the work on the back end. Whereas if we were to wait, to actually start doing the work, it may be another 30 to 45 days after she decides, okay, yeah, I'm done with the property. Here you go. Here, I'm ready to hand it over. If we wait to get an agreement in place until that time, then we would have to start from square one at that point in time, and then it probably would be another 30 to 45 days after that to be able to close on the property and actually get her paid. So I want to kind of stress that putting an agreement in place today would be beneficial, so that we can start crunching our numbers and lining up all of our contractors and painters and plumbers and everybody so that we have the schedule mapped out already. So I'm gonna give her a call. I don't even know if she's gonna answer, but again, this is just kind of one of the hotter follow-ups that I had set for myself today. So wanted to again hop on here and film it. I reached back out to my seller that I just got the agreement on the other day. He was supposed to text me the tenant's information so that I can communicate directly with the tenant, but he hasn't done that yet. So I texted him asking for it because he was supposed to text me. But if I don't hear from him today, what the fuck is this? The property was sold last week. Wow. What up, Frank? This woman, man, I knew that was going to be the case, to be honest. This woman was actually the first agreement that we ever got back in January. It fell through because the tenant was being uncooperative and wouldn't allow us to walk the property. So we had it locked up at 151,000. And then every time, it fell through. Every time we would try to coordinate directly with the tenant, or actually the seller was weird about it too. She didn't feel comfortable with us communicating directly with the tenant for some reason, which is fine, right? But now we're having to play telephone to get our point across. So to answer your question, Frank, why wouldn't they let you walk through? It was always something. What the real problem was that the tenant knew that they were going to get kicked out, or the tenant knew that they were going to have to leave, although their lease agreement was already coming to an end. But anyways, they wanted to ride it out. So anytime we went to go schedule something, it was, oh, my son has COVID. My son just broke his leg. He just had surgery. Everybody in here's sick. We don't really want anybody walking the prop. Whatever the real reason was, it was just always something different and new every time we tried to get in there. So we were like, you know what? Let's just revisit it once the tenant is out. The learning lesson that I had here is that there was no need for me to cancel the agreement. What I did was I sent her the termination of the purchase agreement along with the release of earnest money, because I had my $100 in earnest money tied up in escrow at the title company. So what I should have done was just had her sign off. Instead of having her sign off on a termination, I should have just had her sign off on an extension and said, okay, let's revisit this when, and I know that's what people do, is they'll extend it 6 months, a year out. You know, yeah, I could have just held on to it. Yeah. So I didn't realize that till months later. And I honestly, I think at the moment felt like I had built good enough rapport with the seller, where she was going to sell it to me anyways. And I think that she might have. Somebody's calling me back, but I'm not going to answer because it's just somebody that I cold called, and I don't answer the cold calls or the callbacks because 99.9% of the time it's somebody calling me back, not realizing why I called in the first place. And I do have a voicemail machine set up that says, hey, this is Derek. If you're interested in selling your property, go ahead, leave your name, number, and property address. So I figure if they hear that, they'll either leave me a voicemail if they are interested, text me if they're interested, or what have you. But 99.9% of the time, they're going to call you back and say, hey, did somebody call me? And I'll say, yeah, this is Derek. I just wanted to see, if you were possibly looking to sell your property there, if you'd be open to receiving an offer. And they'd say, oh, no, take me off your list. So that's why I never answer calls that I don't have saved. And I make a point to save every number of anybody who I pre-qualify or any type of warm lead. I'm saving their numbers so that if they do call me back, it pops up caller ID. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this woman. So my point of that story was that the tenant's lease was up July 31st. And so I started rounding back with the seller around early July, late June, and kind of, just revisited it, and she was open to it. But then it started to become really transactional. And what I mean by that is the type of people that I'm looking for to do business with and to help are people who need the money now. They need to get paid, and they have a problem that needs to be solved. Right. So like, for instance, the agreement that I'm hopefully going to close on here in a few days, the gentleman was falling into foreclosure. He needed to sell, or else the bank was just going to get their loan satisfied and probably wasn't going to pay the seller anything. He was just going to lose his house. So, again, a problem that could be solved. I can come in with cash, buy it as is, and solve that problem for him. But for this woman, there was no problem. The tenant was paying rent. They were paying in full. They were paying on time. So much so that when the tenant moved out, they had enough cash flow and reserves to go in there and actually make the repairs. The only thing that they just didn't want to sell it on market. It was more of a prerogative, a personal preference than a problem that needed to be solved. They just wanted to sell it off market for the ease of the transaction. They just wanted somebody to come in with cash, maybe walk the property one time, and then to close. They didn't want to have to go through a realtor. They didn't want to have to get inspections on the property, appraisals on the property. They didn't want buyer concessions, meaning they didn't want a buyer to come in and say, oh, that thing up in the corner, like, that's going to be a problem. I won't buy the property until that's fixed, which is what happens. A buyer concession. They're going to go in, they're going to walk the property, and they're going to make a long list of things that they want the seller to repair out of their own pocket before they buy the property. So the only reason was that she just wanted the ease of the transaction. Quick, easy deal. Exactly. Tenant wanted to just dump the place and get it off their hands. Right. Not trying to negotiate, just take the quickest thing. Exactly. I benefit from having somebody on the phone and really digging into their pain. And they didn't it's kind of like it's one of those things where it kind of sounds bad, but that's where you get the best deals. And honestly, the best analogy that I've heard so far is it's like a doctor presenting the fact that his or her patient has cancer and recommending treatment. So it's still going to be on them. It's still on the cancer patient to say, yeah, I want to go through with it. And it's just the doctor's responsibility to lay it all out and say, hey, look, if you don't sell or sell, but that's the analogy. If you don't treat it, this is what's going to happen. If you do, this is what's going to happen. And for me as a problem solver, I kind of have to do that. And I kind of have to, the analogy is treat or rip out this cancerous tumor, which is their financial situation. These people have a history of making poor financial choices. They have a history of falling into this state where they can't bring themselves out of. So it's like, yeah, I have to be able to kind of revisit their pain with them and bring it up often, right? That's like a good closer is gonna sit in that painful. They don't want to hear the bad news. Exactly. Like they don't want to, if they're getting foreclosed on, they don't want to hear the fact that, hey, look, what are you going to do if you don't sell it to me? You know that the bank is just going to take it back, right? They're just going to get their loan satisfied, and you're not going to get any money. You're just going to get the property ripped from your hands. And it's like on me to kind of deliver that news, and for me to sit in that solemn moment with them. And I actually have to make a point to bring it out, ask the painful questions, ask the hard questions on my end, because it's hard to, like, why are you selling? What, to really dig deep. But again, gonna call this woman right here. Talked with her a few weeks ago, or about a week ago. Name's Catherine. She just got surgery. She is interested in selling, but she wants to move forward once she's recovered and rehabbed. And my goal in this conversation is, one, to pre-qualify and to figure out if I'm even going to be a good fit. And two, if I am a good fit, to try to push that timeline up, and kind of let her know that there is a benefit to putting the agreement in place now as opposed to waiting. Because if we wait and then put the agreement in place, I'm going to start doing my work then. So it's going to come to the point where she's going to say, okay, I'm ready to hand the property over. Here you go. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to need 30 to 45 days. Right. Whereas if we put an agreement in place now, I can do everything on the back end. And then when she's ready to say, okay, yeah, I'm ready, here's the property, then it'll all be good. But I also want to dig a little bit deep again into her surgery. I want to learn about it and try to maybe figure how long of a recovery she's looking at. I've already run comps on this property too, so if we do get to talking numbers, I have an offer for her. It's not. She probably won't like it though. That's another thing. The property looks to be in really bad just disrepair. It's going to need a lot of money. The most I'll probably be able to offer her is like 45,000, something like that. Sure, I type this in correctly. I'm gonna double tap. Yeah, we've talked before. It was real quick. It was just during a cold call session, so she was just one of the hundreds of properties that I was calling through, and it was really quick. She was like, "Yeah, I am interested in selling. I literally just had surgery, so it may be another couple of months before I'm ready to sell, but I am definitely interested in selling. So give me a call." And I asked for permission, like, okay. No, yeah, she wasn't hesitant at all. It seemed like she was ready to go. But I kind of, there's four things. There's four things that I need to get qualified. I need to figure out, one, the condition of the property. That's the main thing, because that's going to determine how much rehab is necessary, how much money is going to have to be dumped into the property. So that's the main thing that the cash buyer on the back end is going to look at when they deal in front of them. Just surgery, exactly. So one is condition, two is timeline. If they don't want to sell for another year, I'm not going to bother like keeping them on follow up. But if they're ready to sell, she says 2 months. So that's good enough for me. I'm probably 90 days or less for me to be like following up with her as consistently as I plan to, like every week. Anything beyond that, I'll put them on like a 1 month follow-up or something. So 2, that's condition, timeline, motivation, the reason why they want to sell, which is the driving factor. Essentially, that's where I want to live. That's where the conversation, I want to stay in that for as long as possible on the phone, so that they can go through it mentally, emotionally, and really realize like, dang, yeah, like, okay, I need to sell this property. It's a psychological thing that, again, closers, real solid closers on sales forces are really good at. They can come from a place of concern, like, oh, like, I'm feeling so bad for you, and they can also like intentionally try to, bring that pain out. And then 4th, price. Price is almost like, as weird as it sounds, the one of the more irrelevant things of the four. Motivation being the biggest, right? In my opinion, motivation being the biggest, because again, there's a problem that needs to be solved, regardless of what price is offered. As long as they can walk away with something, as long as this problem gets solved, that's all that really matters to them. Which is why, when you hear about this business, you typically hear of the motivational factors that are like top on the list, like foreclosure. You can no longer pay off your mortgage and it's gonna get foreclosed on. Divorce, right? They don't want to go through the process of doing everything nice and tidy with a realtor, on market, paperwork with their ex. They just want somebody to come along and pay them some money for it, right? Probate being that they just inherited the property from somebody who passed away. Again, not wanting to deal with it. They just want to get paid. They just want to sell it. They don't have any aspirations for being a property manager and renting out this property. They just had it fall in their lap, and now they want to sell it for quick cash. So again, when it comes down to it, price is pretty much the most irrelevant thing. It's the main thing that's going to make or break the deal, right? It's like, it's either going to be enough or it's not going to be enough. But in terms of like the conversation, I typically spend the most time, or I try to, on the motivation and the condition. Timeline is just one question. How quickly are you wanting to get it done? That's just to kind of feel out if they're motivated or not. They all kind of go together. But I'm gonna go ahead and give this woman a call right back. Double tap. In the past, my partner we even triple tapped. I got that from gentleman Todd Toback. He says that he did that in his office, and he saw like a 30% increase in Hey, Catherine.
No, this is her daughter.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My name is Derek. I had spoken with her about a week ago in regards to her property on Quail Street. Yeah, she had let me know that she was interested in selling, and kind of gave me permission to follow back up. It sounded like she had maybe just gotten surgery. Is this a good number to reach her at?
Yeah.
Okay, is it a better time or more appropriate time for me to follow up to get a hold of her?
Probably tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay. In the morning or evening?
Evening.
Tomorrow evening. Okay. Perfect. What was your name?
Amy.
Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.
All right. Bye now. I didn't understand her name. That's how I've been in life, not even in my real estate thing here, just in life, when people are like nice on the phone. Now that I've witnessed so many ugly people on the phone, when anybody's just kind to me, I always make sure to ask their name if I didn't get it in the beginning, so that I can respond and say, I think she said Eileen, so that I can say, Eileen, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. People like hearing their name, but I didn't understand. She said, and I was like, well, thanks so much. Spoke with daughter. It's weird. It's popping up as a landline, although she sounded like she was at the grocery store. Spoke with daughter. Mother available to talk tomorrow evening. I have the benefit of being 2 hours ahead, so I'll probably call her around this time tomorrow. That's cool, man. I'm game. Flexible timelines are perfect. So that's my realtor. Mother available to talk tomorrow evening. That's my realtor on the one. It's a really good thing to be good at. I'm so bad at names, man. Yeah. I made a point. Yeah, it was actually, I got that from a class that I took in college. The class was like one of the most honestly like the coolest class I've ever taken. It was my graduating semester, and it was called Soft Skills, and it just covered like etiquette at a dinner table, how to properly deliver a good firm handshake, names and that type of stuff was another one, interviewing skills, stuff like that. Pairing, there's a whole section on wine pairing, what to order while you're at dinner, what type of wine to match the course that you're eating, whether it be fish, it'd be white wine, steak, red wine. But it got deep so much, but I forgot that stuff. That was a really good class, and I got that. Yeah, realtor just reached back out to me. This is on the deal that's supposed to close in a few days, and it's tenant occupied, and she was wanting me to connect her to a realtor. I'm trying really hard to build an exclusive relationship with a realtor because it's beneficial in each direction. I can help him by referring him business. He can do the same thing. So in this case, I was trying to refer him business because the property that I'm getting ready to close on, or assign to the buyer who's going to close on it, he's all on board. He just needs it to be delivered vacant. So the tenant needs to get out. She was under the impression already, before I even made the agreement with her father, which is the seller, that she was going to have to go because, again, she stopped paying. So she knew that the house was going to get foreclosed on. She just didn't know how quickly it was going to happen because I had impeccable timing. It was like when I first connected with the father, the seller, he was like, yeah, you know what? It's perfect timing because I'm getting these notices. I'm going to get foreclosed on. So what I did was connected her with a realtor so that he could help her find a new place to either rent or buy. And he would get paid for that. I wouldn't even have to pay him because he would get buyer's commission if he helped, if he represented them as the buyer in buying real estate. And he would also get buyer commission if he linked her up with some type of rental agreement. A lot of times when big businesses own like apartments, like I'm trying to, like, even the apartment that I stay in here, there's like 150 plus units. I actually think this guy's pretty hands-on, but typically they'll outsource the property management, right? And property management will work with realtors, and they'll offer, incentives. They'll say, yeah, hey man, if you bring me somebody who actually signs on and signs a year lease, I'll kick back a month's worth of rent or something like that, or I'll give, whatever the case may be. I'll waive her initial deposit and just give that to you. Whatever it is, there's a way where he can get paid, and he knows that. So I connected them, but she was just so difficult, and she doesn't have money. She was, she had her expectations too high, and she wasn't doing her part. I would follow up with the realtor. His name's Terrence. He's booming. He's out in Houston doing business like crazy. And so I made sure, because that fell through for him, she just stopped cooperating with him, stopped responding. So I wanted to make sure today I reached back out and I said, hey, Terrence, wanted to reach out and apologize for the lack of cooperation you got from Christy, which is the tenant. I appreciate you carving out the time to try and make that work. Moving forward, I'll do my best to vet the people I refer you to. He says, hey, man, no stress. She was a hard case because she really isn't in a position to get a home. I said, yeah, completely agree. I said, that being said, I do have a family looking to purchase something in and around South Houston after they sell their current home. We've come to a verbal agreement to purchase their home. They plan to use the proceeds for the down payment on their next place. So we've discussed the lease back to allow them time to do this. I'll explain that in a second. I was just kind of stressing because he wasn't getting back to me. I thought I was like, I ruined our relationship. He says, that's cool, man. I'm game. Flexible times are perfect. So the lease back, essentially what has to happen is, I spoke with these other people the other day and they're like, yeah, we'll sell for 60,000. I think I even told you this, Frank, if you're still here watching, but I offered them the 60,000, and then they came back and said, oh, and that's what they asked. They were asking price was 60,000. And I was like, yeah, I can do the 60 after negotiation. I think I started at 40 or something, and came all the way up to 60. And I was like, you know what? I think we can make it work. And then she came back with, I think we can probably get 80. What? Stop. Literally ask for 60. I gave you 60, and then you came back and asked for more. But anyways, their situation is their property is owner occupied. So they live in their property that I'm offering to buy. So they wanted more. Yeah, 80. Yeah, they came back like, what? I heard her because I'll place her on. I placed her on mute. She literally agreed. I said, okay, is that something that you're wanting to move forward with today? And she's like, yeah, if you can give me the 60 and we can do everything, the contingencies that I'm getting ready to explain. And I was like, all right, cool. Let me place you on a brief hold. They don't have emotional attachment to it, but the thing is this: so it's owner occupied. They need to use the money from the sale of their home in order to use as a down payment on their next home. And this is very common, which is why there's specific forms in place. Specifically, it's a temporary residential rental agreement. I don't know the exact title on it, but it's referred to as a leaseback agreement. And what will happen is, let's say we agreed to the 60. I would say, yeah, 60,000 sounds good. We'll close on the first of the month. Now, when the first of the month, how's it? When the first of the month comes up, what's going to happen is I will pay you 40,000 of the 60 so that you can take that 40 and you can use that for the down payment. And I'm going to hold back. So it's referred to as a leaseback or a holdback agreement. I'm going to hold back 20,000 in escrow. Just learn where the chat was. You need to tap in, man. So that provides them incentive. So they get a majority of their funds. And then what happens during that 30 days, 45 days after we close and give them, 2/3 of their money, it's set up as a rental agreement. So now the buyer, which is like essentially me or whoever I assign it to, they are the quote unquote landlord. And although it may sound weird because they've lived in this property for years, they will actually be the tenant because title has already been transferred. So they're the tenant living in the property that they lived in for years, but now they have the ability to get paid a huge chunk of the proceeds from the sale and go buy a new place. And then once they move out, we can then release the remainder of the proceeds. So I pitched that to her. She was all on board for that. And also, I was even saying I can make it contingent on you guys finding a place because they were really concerned. They were throwing out 60,000, but they were like, I don't know if 60 is going to be enough. It's like, then what are we even talking about? So I had offered to get her in contact with my realtor so that he can lay out their options so that they know if 60 is even going to be enough for them. If it's not, I won't be able to do it. 60 is like the most I can do. I think I even be too tight at that. But yeah, that's what's going on with that one. I was afraid that I ruined the relationship with my realtor on the last deal, but he sounds reasonable, and I'm referring him a lot of business just to kind of jump in on how it's a really mutually beneficial arrangement. So I can refer him leads like this. A lot of times when I'm cold calling and I ask people if they would ever receive an offer on their home, they'll say, no, I just renovated it. I literally just finished a full remodel. I am looking to sell, but you're not going to be able to give me what I want as an investor. And I say, yeah, no problem. Are you working specifically with a realtor? Do you have a realtor in mind that you're hoping to list with? And if they say no, then I pitch, well, we have some realtors in-house that we work closely with. I'd love to get you guys in contact to just hear the options. If you don't want to move forward with him, no worries. Obviously, you don't have to commit to anything, but just so that you have all the options and you know what your options are. And then I can kick him the quote unquote retail leads that want top dollar for their house, and they likely would benefit from listing on market. So I'm not and that's another thing where I know a lot of wholesalers get shady. I'm not in the business of just lowballing as many people as possible, hoping that they agree to it. Especially people who are sophisticated, like anybody who would tell me that, no, I know that you're not going to give me what I want. As long as they don't want something that they're not going to get on market, I'm more than happy to provide them or refer them to a realtor so that they can, have that best option there. Even if they don't want, top dollar and they just want more than what I'm asking for, I'll tell them straight up, I appreciate your stance and I appreciate that you're holding firm at your number, but I can't make that work. Not to say that somebody else won't be able to, because quite often I have a lot as well that the numbers were off like 10, 15,000. And that's just what I'm carving out for my own fee, essentially my referral fee to the person who will close on the property. So as long as there's some, fix and flipper out there, some investor out there that is doing their own marketing and sales and happens to reach out to this person, they probably could do the price that they're asking because they don't have to carve out another 10,000 just to get paid. They're already getting paid on that price. Didn't want to sound like a noob. Just learn where this chat was. Shake my head, bro. Didn't want to sound like a noob. Explain an NFT at Frank. A dope piece of digital art that it's only yours when you buy it. Pretty good. Pretty good explanation. Saw that NFTs are popping up at Times Square today. It doesn't have to be art. I bet if you buy one and then it goes up on Times Square, the value goes up so much. Dude, I'm watching the what is it, Crypto Punks or whatever the punk is. It's crazy, man. It's like not even nice art. I swear it's like becoming a thing where it's like the more digitized it is, the less pixels. It's like 10 blocks and they're going for like $500,000. It's wild. All the gamers. Yeah. It's like a thing, right? I can imagine like all the young sneakerheads and all the people, all the youngins that just got into stocks that are looking to just like switch it up and go into the next channel where they feel like they can get a most return on their investment. Phase owners. Yeah. 100 Thieves. Oh, wow. All copying. Yeah. 16 pixels. Yeah. It's wild, man. Like what? I don't even, sometimes I look at it and I'm like trying to figure out like what I'm even looking at. But the captions like just sold for 2 million. Logan Paul bought for 200K and sold for 6. Yeah, man. Wild. I'm not in the thick of it, so I wouldn't even know where to start in terms of like what to buy or I think it's like obviously right, like it's like branded, like I think it's Cyberpunks, right? I could be making that, or that's like video game, huh? Crypto Punks, whatever it is. It's like branded, right? So it's like it's just the money goes where the fame is or the clout, because like even like the well-known ones aren't like good looking. Like I'm saying, like some people I look at like that pop up on my suggestions on Instagram, they'll pop up and it'll be like the dopest art, but they'll have like 10 Instagram followers and clearly not the type of notoriety to be able to get $500,000 for their NFT, but it's like 10 times doper. Insider trading, exactly, man. Yeah, it's wild. I don't like know how you get. I'm watching Evian do it, right? And his shit's dope. I just like he's not like famous, so people are buying his shit though, which is dope. But yeah, let me see if I have somebody else to call here. Anybody that's worth calling. I have people to call, but a lot of people. I don't even know if I finished my story on the other one. Anyways, the first contract that I ever got that fell through, it became very transactional. The tenant moved out. She had the money to make the repairs. She replaced the AC, and now it's like a cash offer isn't looking the best. But she wanted to sell off market. She made that clear. And then she was like, she would text me things like, our house on this street is vacant and ready to sell. We are accepting offers and walkthrough inspections. And it's like, okay, it's very clear that she's blasting that out to everybody who she's talking to. And I knew there was competition. And I said, hey, I'll be able to do 135. And she said, since we have been in communication with you, I wanted to give you another chance. I will send you a picture of the AC unit when I go over there tomorrow. Also, your offer at this time will not be reviewed. We have a higher pending offer from another investor and waiting on a final offer from Open Door. We plan on making a decision by August 15th. I said, all right, sounds good. I'll be on the lookout for that picture and look forward to hearing you from on the 15th. Please let me know either way. If it's not too far beyond 135, I can see if we'd be able to make it work. If we can, I promise to be honest and let you know so you can go with a better offer. She says, okay. Didn't hear from her yesterday. Followed up with her today. Said, hey, Terry, wanted to follow up, see if you and your husband had decided which direction to go. She said the property was sold last week. Shake my head. Didn't even stick to her word. She sold it a week before. But anyways, what I'm going to say is congratulations. Again, coming from a place of no desperation. I could care less if she sold it to somebody else. I just want to be there for her if anything does fall through or happens. Congratulations. I want to say, please keep me in the loop if anything happens during the closing process. Please keep me in the loop if anything happens during the closing process. I just leave it at that. Congratulations. Please keep me in the loop if anything happens during the closing process. I'd love to be there to help out if anything falls through. Which is a common practice as well. A lot of people will do that even up to the date of closing, because apparently it's pretty common where buyers or lenders, the day of closing, the day before closing, like they'll try to do funny business, like, oh, sorry, like I thought you were saying this amount, or we can't do that much, and then they fall back on their word. That's why this business, wholesaling, gets so much scrutiny, because there's bad apples out there who their whole business model is to do that, the cloak and dagger. Yeah, we can give you 160,000, and then it comes time to closing, or like sometime in their inspection period, like, oh, like it looks like 160 is just too high. Like we would actually need it at like 130. And it's like, what? It's one thing to like be misled, because I've renegotiated the price, but I was misled. I was led to believe that the property was in much better condition than what it was. So when I revisited, it was almost expected by the seller. Like, yeah, I kind of figured, like, so it's like, it's one thing to do that, but one thing to enter into the agreement with the intent on renegotiating the price after the fact. But again, that's why you want to stay in contact with people, even though they've quote unquote sold it. Because I guarantee you, if she said it sold last week, I think she means she went under contract last week, and closing's probably set for 30 days or at least 2 weeks, right? But yeah, so that's why you want to follow up. I'm gonna call this guy. This guy was such a hot lead, but he's just stopped answering. He just stopped answering. He was saying a reasonable price. He was talking, the condition was horrible. He was talking my language, and I've tried him like 10 times since then and haven't been able to get a hold of him. Maybe stream will bring me a little bit of good luck. We're really, punks are blowing up. I know, it's weird because that's going crazy isn't special at all. So I don't understand how the value will go up by itself. I think you need following clout. Yeah, exactly. I kind of got a taste of it when I was doing the horse racing, because it's essentially the same thing, just with the ability to. Hello? Hello? Wow. Thought I got him on the phone. That would have been wild. Feeling lucky. I'm feeling very lucky if this guy answers. I'm telling you, the stuff he was talking on the initial cold call. First time I talked to him was June 7th. My notes are, kept talking about how bad the place was. Everything's original. He lives there alone, but technically it's in his mother's name, and his sister will be involved as well in the process of selling it. It was his parents' place, but his father passed away and his mom moved out. He mentioned that I was the first person that he was speaking with, and they're going to start fielding offers and just take the highest. He said there was lots of plumbing issues after the recent freeze. I don't know if you guys know, but out in Houston, the snowstorm, I'm sure you've seen it on social media a couple months back, but it was bad. And now everybody who I talk to, I make a point to ask them if their plumbing or electrical was affected by the freeze. And pretty much everybody it was, and everybody had insurance claims on it. And it's been a kind of really a point of conversation in almost every conversation I have. Didn't have a price in mind, but he mentioned that he has an estimate. I think he was referring to the tax assessed value because he called it an estimate of 60,000. But he mentioned that he knows he probably won't be able to get that due to the condition of the place. And he was saying this stuff. He was offering this stuff up without me having to like dig deep. And I was like, oh yeah, pretty much saying like, I know my property isn't going to go for much at all. And I was like, all right. He made it clear that he wanted to. Him and his sister had equal say in the decision making of it all. So I was like, all right, allow me a few days to do my homework, figure out the best offer I can make you. That way I can just leave everything on the table, as opposed to just throwing a number out now. And, if you want to round back with your sister, just to kind of feel out where you guys would need to be as well to have you guys both feeling comfortable. And that was June 7th. I ran comps June 8th, figured out what I could offer June 8th. I figured the max I could probably offer is about 45. Which sounds in line with what he's talking about. He says that his estimate was 60, but he knows he couldn't get that. So I think 45 would have been something that we could have made happen. I called him on the 8th of June, double tap, no answer, mailbox full, texted him. The 9th of June, double tap, no answer, no option to leave voicemail. The 10th of June, no answer, unable to leave voicemail. The 21st of June, double tap, mailbox full. 22nd of June, called, unable to leave voicemail. The 24th of June, called, no voicemail. 29th of June, called, no voicemail. The 2nd of July, no answer. The 12th of July, no answer. The 21st of July, no answer. And the 11th of August. May sound crazy, but Frank Blam left. A lot of people were, man. But this guy, I need to get him on the phone. And if I don't, I've been meaning to write him a letter, but I just haven't found the time. I want to write. I have 2 addresses here for him, a mailing address and the property address. I know he lives in the property, so I'm gonna try to mail it to both and just revisit it. Hey, we talked. You said just kind of remind him. Hello? Hello? Yeah, sister's got the house. Exactly. I'm going to try some other numbers here. No. I mean, double tap, could not leave voicemail. I just need to send him a letter. If I was in the market, I know the pros recommend that I go to the door and knock the door. Once I get some more boots on the ground established, I will have somebody do that for me. If you guys know anybody in Houston that's wanting to like make a quick buck on certain tasks, I had one gentleman who would do it, and it was like too long of a hiatus where no deals were coming in. So when I rounded back with him, he was like, turbines are killing all of our eagles. Yeah, that's frustrating though, this guy. I want to, mail him a letter. Try to write that up tomorrow. Just kind of remind him who I am and mention some things that only somebody who he would have talked to would know, like the sister or maybe the estimate. Maybe mention his parents, something. I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much everybody. All the hot follow-ups. This guy's an ass. I wish he was. I want to keep following up with him, but there's no point in following up with him as diligently as I'm following up with the other people. Every time I call this guy, he's quote unquote in a meeting. Really means he doesn't want to sell right now, which is cool. But yeah, I got another agreement in place the other day on Friday. That was the quickest same day close. That was the quickest I've ever done it. From initial cold call to signed agreement within 1 hour. He's very transactional about it. I wasn't able to really figure out why he's interested in selling, which it concerns me a little bit that he's withholding some information or something, not disclosing everything. Because when I asked why he was interested in selling, he said, well, I'm not really interested. But if somebody comes by and offers me a price, that I would take, I'll go ahead and move forward with it. 99% of the time, this is the only time where somebody has said that and not had an unreasonable expectation of price. Usually when people say that, and people do say that often, they're just being an ass about it. they're like, well, I mean, you called me, make me an offer. I mean, you don't see a for sale sign in the ground, do you? I mean, if somebody comes along and offers me something I can't refuse, you know, they're kind of being an ass about it, but you want to figure out what that price is from those people, because their price that they can't refuse could be a reasonable price for you. That's something else that I've learned, and that's really why you always want the seller to say their price first. You don't want to make an offer until they give you their price. Sometimes you're going to have to throw out a price, which is why when you throw out a price before they do, you throw out a range and make it wide. So, in the case where the 60,000 woman who ended up wanting 80 after I gave it to her, she said 60 actually. So that's not really, let's just say, nobody's telling me their price. There's a few ways. There's actually a number of ways where you can figure out their price, asking them just like more nonchalant things, like, what are your neighbors going for? What do they sell for? Do you know? Or I don't know if you've given it any thought, but like, did you have a number you'd be hoping to walk away with? Just so you know, we won't cover the outstanding mortgage balance. So if there is still a mortgage on the place, you would be able to walk away. This is my favorite. This is how I got the other agreement. I asked, hey, just let you know, we can come in cash, but the only thing we wouldn't cover is like any outstanding mortgage balances, any liens, any judgments against the property, anything like that. Is there anything like that that's still owed on the property that we haven't talked about? He says, yeah. Well, I didn't really go as deep. That's my script right there, verbatim. But he had let me know right out of the gate because he's getting foreclosed on. So he's like, yeah, I owe 48,000. So I pitched it. Hey, this is again kind of a sneaky way to make an offer. How much were you looking to walk away with after you pay off that mortgage balance? So after the mortgage is paid off, how much are you wanting to walk away with? Which is essentially asking them their price, but doing it in a roundabout way where it's not as intimidating to them. I didn't do that well on that conversation, which is another learning moment, but I asked thinking that it was something far-fetched. I thought I was lowballing the hell out of him. I said, would you and your wife feel comfortable walking away with 10,000? And he goes, slap me in the face. He goes, 10,000? Hold on. My wife needs to hear this. Honey, he goes, honey, he's talking about 10,000. And you hear her in the background, ooh, slap me in the fucking face. And I say that because that's the number one rule of negotiation. It's just proper etiquette. You never accept the first offer. Even if it works, you don't. 10K. Yeah, he was, oh, babies, 10K. She goes, 10,000. What I gathered from the end of that conversation was that they were more so under the impression that somebody was just going to take their mortgage over and they weren't going to walk away with anything. Everything's for sale. It's got to be the right price. Exactly. Yeah, that was a slap in the face, though. I mean, again, it works for me. I got it at 58, and I had a buyer come in at 70, so there's a 12,000 spread there for me. But it's a slap in the face. It's just very poor negotiation etiquette. You never accept the first offer, even if it works. Again, it worked for me, but I walked away from that phone conversation like, damn, like I probably could have come in at 50. I probably could have gotten another $8,000 and he would have been just as happy, and now I have buyer's remorse. So crazy, but that's what happened with that one. But this gentleman, he wasn't giving me a price. So I gave him the range. Or no, actually he did. He said he gave me 100,000 right out the gate. And that was his magic number. 100,000. If you could do that, I'll sell to you right now. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that. But I mean, tell me about the property, right? What's the condition looking like? And yeah, not the unconditional. Exactly. It was definitely one-sided. It still is. Every time I just talk to him, he's like the coolest guy. Honestly, like he's an older guy, retired. His wife, he was just telling me last night how him and his wife stayed up late till 3 a.m. They didn't even realize how late it was. And they stayed up eating chili cheese hot dogs and watching movies and eating popcorn. So he's like the coolest guy, honestly. I couldn't ask for like any nicer of a seller for hopefully my first deal here. So really cool guy. But this gentleman, yeah, the one I just got the agreement on, cold call him, 100,000 was his magic number. I was like, well, let me learn a little bit about it. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do 100,000, but I asked those hard questions, those painful questions, and he let me know that the roof is leaking. There's no paperwork for the tenant, which is an issue. So they don't have an official lease agreement in place. So when I go to present my offer, you present pain, benefits, number. Hey, I mean, it sounds like, you're pretty fed up with the tenant, and, I'm sure the last thing that you're wanting to do is get in there and fix that leaky roof, So just, to kind of reiterate, we are able to pay cash. We can buy it as is. So you don't have to go in there and fix that roof, right? We'll take it as it sits right now. And, we can cover all the closing costs and do it as quickly as you'd like. So, for an offer like that, what's the best price that you could do? But again, didn't present it like that. That's how I would have liked to present it. But he was really, make me an offer. So I threw out 60 to 80. And he was like, if it can be the 80, I can do that. And I said, okay, let me place you on a brief hold. I need to run that by my supervisor. I don't have approval to give you the 80, but that doesn't sound too unreasonable. I think we could probably do that. I will need an inspection period just to go in there and make sure, cross the T's, dot the I's. And he's like, all right, cool. Place him on hold for 1-2 minutes. Sit here, shoot the shit, run the numbers a little bit, make sure that I can, in fact, do that. Hop back on the phone. Hey, my supervisor, unfortunately, we couldn't do the 80. We're looking, and this is something that I actually, again, found out in the process of doing my due diligence online here. I realized that his house, it doesn't side a railroad, but it's right across the street, directly across the street from a railroad, which will decrease the value of his home. So I brought that to his attention. Hey, just to let you know, we were running the numbers. I was trying to get that approval for that 80, but we found the railroad. And the fact that, and then just reiterated all of the pain points essentially again, with that leaky roof, with that tenant not having an official lease agreement in place, we're really comfortable at 70. And he said, if you can do 75, I'd do it. Placed him on another hold. I considered going back to him and holding firm at 70. In hindsight, I should have, but I didn't. And I went back and I just agreed to the 75. So had him reduce his price 25,000, where I didn't really reduce any. And that's, again, because I gave him that range, 60 to 80, I told him. So now I can be anywhere in that range, and I'm not lying. I never lied to him. I told you I would be in that range. But yeah, that's how that one worked. Now I'm waiting on word back from him to get me his tenant's information so that I can communicate directly with the tenant, get somebody in there. I've already talked to a few buyers who seem interested. They just don't know what it looks like, and I don't know what it looks like either. So he says there's a hole in the roof. It just needs to be patched, though. It doesn't need to be completely replaced, the whole roof. It sounds like he's made slight upgrades to the interior, like the kitchen and bath, but they will probably need to be remodeled. The AC unit was replaced 5 years ago, so that's good. No foundation issues. It sits on blocks. Yeah, other than that, I think it's all good to go. It's just going to need a full revamp. Pain, benefits, number. Yeah, exactly. There you go, the rebounder. Get the vocab right, man. Mini trim. But yeah, I don't really have anybody else to call here. What do you think? Should I hop on the dialer? Should I get some cold calling in? See if I can maybe conjure up another lead here. I was calling earlier. This list is cool. I kind of made a mistake when I pulled this list. It's in a county that I'm not familiar with. This is a brand new county. Google Chrome T-Rex game. It's fire game, actually. Yeah, this list, it's like kind of weird. They are like, it's really hot or cold. A big portion of the list has already been beaten up, meaning like a bunch of investors have already called them. So they're kind of pissed when I call. But other people, like this lead came from this list. This deal came from this list. Literally called him and closed it all within the hour. So, and that was during 360 no scopes. I'll get you some 360 no scopes right here. They yeah, I was talking all types of shit about this list too, and then this lead comes around and I get an agreement all on the same phone call. So I'm a little bit more willing to call through this list, even though there's a lot of hate on this list here. A lot of hate. Hear me get cursed out a little bit. Controller gamer, ugh. Although different from the math.
The mailbox number that you are trying to reach is not in service. Goodbye.
You hate going for a run. Studies proven, Stu, 2 times effective, 2 times more effective. Look it up. NASA has done plenty of research on this.
An automatic voice message system. 8323.
Yeah, super high contact rate earlier. I only dialed for 20 minutes, got 7 contacts. I was getting like contact every 3 minutes.
Love it, how's this, Richard?
Hi, I'm so sorry. I think I dialed the wrong number here.
Okay, no worries.
Bye now. I just say that when somebody answers and it's clearly a place of work. That may even be the guy I was looking to get a hold of, but I just go ahead and skip past the property when I get people at their place of work. I made the mistake of trying to continue the conversation in the past when I was brand new to it, but people really don't like that, and I understand. And it took me to get like cursed out a time or two for me to realize, like, yeah, wait, why am I trying to talk to these people when they're at work? Like, it's already unsolicited. And now, like, not only am I calling their house phone or their cell phone, but now I'm calling them at work. Like, I know where you work. So people really don't like that. I never need to use scope. Get some cold calls in. I'm trying, man. See what's going on. That's another thing about this list is the last name's coming in first, and it really throws me off. Mobile gamer. You're a mobile gamer, fool. I bet you still play Clash. Like all up on the updates and stuff. What are the Barb stats nowadays? Can you just still go with the straight barbarian archer attack or what? Let me know. Show me his clan's base. I bet. You know, I don't know if you're actually joking, but I can see that happening. Don't tell anyone. Oh, what a trip. But yeah, what? Do you still use healers or is that out? Man, what's up? Everybody's out, I guess. Feel pretty good though. Hit my follow-ups for the day. Hit some contacts. I got 7 no's on the day. One of them actually follow up. He said that he'd be ready in like a couple of years. So I put him on a 6-month follow-up.
9 3 6 4 4 3 5 6.
Talk to my title company. Kick them in the ass a little bit because they were dragging their feet. They need to schedule a mobile notary for my seller because he lives in Dallas for the closing on Thursday. Yes, he uses healers, and then in Royale he only uses E-Barb. So shady, E-Barbs. Like so cheater. Split them down the lane. Wish me luck though, you guys. This is a huge moment for me. My first deal is supposed to close on Thursday, the 19th. everything's squared away.
Hello?
Hey, Mr. Quinn.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Who's this?
Hi, this is Derek. Sorry, I know this is a bit random, but I was calling about a property I believe you own on Thunder Cove Place.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
I don't know if he's messing with me or what, but it doesn't sound like he really wanted to talk in the first place. But I'll try him back. Not right now, but at a different point. But yeah, the deal here. Everything's squared away. I went under contract for 58. Found a buyer for 70. I recruited the help of some boots on the ground out in Houston, though. So I'm JVing or joint venturing the deal here. So we're splitting it 50-50. He helped facilitate everything like in person, like the showings, the cash buyer showings and stuff like that. Got the agreement
Your call has been
agreement for
forwarded to an
70,000.
automatic voice message system 409.
And so we're each expected to get 6,000 each. The only issue is that the tenant, which is the seller's daughter, is living in the property, and the lender for the buyer will only close on the property if it's delivered vacant. So that's really what I'm having to deal with right now, is getting her out. So I offered her $500. Said, if you can get out by the 18th and we can close on the property once your father gets paid, I'll pay you $500. She plans to live in a motel for a couple of weeks until her trailer is ready at her buddy's trailer park. So she needs about a month in the motel, and she said okay, she's down for it. She was really appreciative too. I said that'll probably cover 2 weeks of the motel and possibly a month of the storage. And she was really appreciative. Oh, so yeah, thank you so much. But now she's kind of ghosting me, and I texted her last night. She works graveyard. So
Hi, you've reached Billy Romero. I'm sorry I can't
giving
get
her
your
the
phone
benefit
right
of
now.
the doubt.
Please leave me a voicemail and I will return your call as soon as possible.
Also why I
Thank
don't
you.
like
Have
when
a great day.
people call me. But as long as she's out by the 18th, early 19th, Thursday morning at the latest, I'm gonna close on this first deal here. Expecting 6,000. And with this next one, I'm looking at probably like a 10,000 spread if I can find a buyer at that amount. And I'm not sure. I might try to do it by myself without recruiting the help of my partner, because he was pulling all type of, man, you guys should have heard, even seen, he was talking stupid.
Hello? Please leave a message after the tone.
I'm trying to be like nice about this without just like really blowing up, because I was really emotional about it, but he didn't really do anything. Typically in this type of a situation, especially when somebody's virtually wholesaling, you kind of enter into a joint venture agreement under the assumption that the person that is being recruited finds the buyer. People will even do it in the same market and be like, look, I got this deal. I don't really have a huge pool of buyers. So they'll go to a more experienced person and say, here, like, do you have buyers for this? And they'll say, oh yeah. It's a joint venture. And that's what the case was with this guy. We've been talking for months, and I planned to partner with him, but he didn't even end up finding the buyer. The buyer that closed on it was my buyer that I found on Facebook. So it's like the only thing that he really did was his cousin went out and took pictures, and he showed up that morning when my buyer was there so that they could walk the property. And then
Hello, you've reached Kevin with Performance Orthotics. I'll be out of the office until August.
He negotiated the back end too. He took the 70,000, and then he had the nerve to come back to me and start talking about, you should go back to the seller and try to renegotiate down to 50,000. I'm pretty sure they'll take it. That way we can both walk away with 10 as opposed to both of us walking away with 6. It would have made it a $20,000 spread. And I was like, okay, yeah. I was just kind of scrambling. This was all so new to me. Like, oh wow, I have a buyer on board. He's down to sign. Wow, okay. Yeah. 10,000 sounds much more than 6. And then I literally couldn't, I might sound like I'm exaggerating, but it kept me up at night. That night, I literally couldn't sleep. I was like trying to like form some type of script in my head of how I was going to present it to the seller to make it make sense and make it so that he didn't like hate me. And then I was like, I'm not doing that, man. And I went back to him the following day. I was like, look, like I thought it over all last night. That's not the type of business that I'm wanting to do. If there was a reason other than us wanting more money to go back and renegotiate the price, I would, but just for the simple fact of us wanting more money.
Hello, we are not available.
I'm not going to do that. You know, I was the one who built this relationship. I was the one who found the buyer. I was the one who would have had to go back to the seller and ruin that relationship that I built by going back on my word. So I was like, I'm not going to do that, man. How did you find buyers so quick? So my partner sent his cousin out to take pictures. This is common practice. Take pictures of all the rooms, take pictures of the AC unit, the furnace, the roof, you know, from the street, you know, go up close and personal with any like damage, under the sink to make sure there's no leaks or anything like that. And then once you do that, you build kind of like a property profile, and I put together like a little PDF that showcased, you know, how many beds, baths, how many square, it's pretty much just like an MLS listing, like a realtor would do when they listed on the market, and kind of talk the property up, but also let people know what type of repairs would be needed, and then just blasted it onto like 30 different Facebook groups that are home to cash buyers, investors. 1 second. Oh! All right. Come here, buddy. One time you didn't want to come in here. You all right? But yeah, then just blasted it to like a bunch of different Facebook groups. I know. Gosh, I didn't realize she had come home with a bunch of stuff. Let Leo out of the bedroom. But yeah, that's how I found the buyer. But yeah, I blasted to a bunch of Facebook groups, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and I'm just always building my cash buyers list in like MailChimp, or I need to use a different email provider because MailChimp's cracking down and not letting me. They didn't even let me send out the email for that one. So I got lucky that somebody on Facebook was going to buy it. But that's how that works. And then at that point in time, I already had scheduled. I'd already scheduled and coordinated with a tenant a good time for people to go out, so that when people started showing interest and like, hey, like, do you still have this? Is this still available? It's like, yeah, we have a cash buyer showing. We're looking to assign our interest. Let them know that we have it under contract, and we're looking to assign our interest in the contract to an end buyer, and that we have a showing set up on this date and time. So if you want to walk the property, go ahead and show up at this time. That's what happened. I had like 6 buyers who said they were going to show up. Only one. Hey, Miss Myers.
Hello?
Hello, is this Miss Myers?
Yes, it is.
Hi there, this is Eric. Sorry, I know this is a bit random, but I was calling about a property I believe you own on Dogwood Drive.
Oh, yeah, but we're not interested in selling it.
Oh, okay. Completely understand. Well, I appreciate you taking the call.
Uh-huh.
All right, bye now.
Has he eaten today or had any of his posts?
No, he has not.
Do you mind please giving him his code?
Sure. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So that's how that happened. He showed up. So I had like 6 people who were like, oh, yeah, we're going to show up and walk the property. My partner apparently had just as many people. So we were expecting like 10 plus people to be out there to walk the property. And he was even planning on facilitating an auction right there on the spot, you know, down the street a little bit so that they weren't in front of the tenant, but saying, all right, here we go. Like starting bid at this price. And then just have literally a live auction right there. That's what his intentions were. But he ended up just taking the 70. And then he called me and was like, good news, 70,000. So like, if you could go back and renegotiate that. And I was like, again, at the moment I was like, sure. And then I realized like, wait, I'm not doing that. Like, how easy is it for you?
Bring computers.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I must have dialed the wrong number here.
Okay, no problem.
All right, have a good one. Yeah. So and then right when I told him that, I was like, I'm not doing that. He started getting all weird and was like, it became just about the transaction, the money. He was like, because at that point, me
I was able to accept your call.
and him had never put anything in writing. It was just off of the trust. And I easily could have just, again, since it was my buyer, my paperwork, my title company, literally everything, I could have just easily cut him out and taken the full 12. But again, wasn't wanting to do business like that. But he was afraid that I was going to. So he was right away like, oh, here's your, if we could sign this, if we can get this. I'm like, yeah, man, no worries. But, and now he's like, I feel like he's kind of leeching a little bit.
We shall respond to your message.
Because this is the hard part, right? Gotcha. Yeah, just make a profile for it and blast it. Get it on Zillow. So I can't get it on Zillow. I mean, so that's another method. It's called wholetailing. So as opposed to wholesaling, it's just like a term that somebody coined recently. And it's just wholesale crossed with retail. And what it is since my transaction beginning to end all happens off market, kind of behind the scenes. If you were to go look at this property after the fact on Zillow, you wouldn't see that it changed ownership or that it was listed, because it wasn't, right? But people will wholesale and they'll get a property that's like, you know what, this is pretty clean, and a retail buyer would buy this for like their first home or something. It doesn't need much repairs at all. It will pass inspection. So what people will do is instead of assigning their interest.
Meals on Wheels, this is Rhonda.
Hi, Rhonda. I'm so sorry. I think I dialed the wrong number here.
Okay. All right,
bye. I'm getting all types of callbacks here, but this might be the gentleman. Let me answer it actually. Hello, this is Derek. Oh. Hello? Just missed him, I guess. So what they'll do is they'll actually close on the transaction. So in the method that I'm doing here, it's no money out of pocket. All I'm paying for is the marketing and the sales in order to actually get the agreement. But once I get the agreement in place, all I'm doing is simply assigning my interest to the end buyer for a higher price. So it's like really no money is needing to come out of my pocket in order to facilitate the transaction. But in a wholesale agreement, what will happen is the person will actually take the property down. They'll close on the property, have title transferred to their name, and then without doing any repairs, without doing anything, they'll just go list it on the market. Knowing that that's the better route than to assign their interest to somebody else, because again, the property is in decent enough condition where a retail buyer will come along and pay top dollar for it. So that's that. But yeah, other than that, can't really list it on Zillow, which is why the biggest and most effective is to just build your cash buyers list. So right now I have a list of like 1,000+ names and emails for people who have raised their hand on a Facebook post saying that they are a cash buyer. So when it comes time, just upload that little property profile into like MailChimp or some other type of email provider and blast it out to them. Facebook Marketplace, Facebook, Craigslist. There's other places I'm sure that I'm unfamiliar with, but those are the ones that I utilize right now. Facebook, Craigslist, email blast. But yeah, no doubt when it comes to the time where I feel comfortable taking these properties down, and that'll be soon, why does it keep happening? As long as the deal flow stays up, I'm locking these properties up for, I don't know why it's doing that. I'm locking these properties up for under 50K. You know what I mean? I don't really have any aspirations for becoming a virtual fix and flipper, as people do.
Forwarded to an automatic voice
But
message
that's also
system.
something that's
409
very reasonable as well. It's like the
539.
progression. People will wholesale. They'll do what I do. They'll build the cash flow. They'll build not really the cash flow. They'll build the reserves, and the bankroll, so that
36-442-8817. If you want me to call you back, please leave
build the
me a
bankroll so
message or
that
send me a text.
the options open up. But essentially, this is the best position to be in, which is direct to seller, is getting the deals, sourcing the deals, so that you have opportunities to multiple different exit strategies. So, you can kind of cherry pick the best deals and be like, well, this one only needs 10,000. And if I put that 10,000 into it, it'll build in much more than $10,000 of equity into the property. So that's something that I might be willing to do, like virtually, like just get a general contractor to manage the job. And if it's simple enough where they can't like run away with
Your
it.
call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 28.
But again, right now I'm just focused on sourcing opportunities for somebody else, because I don't have the means to really take these deals down myself. But plenty of different exit strategies. Some other ones, yeah, wholetailing. That's a big one. That's really popular
The
nowadays.
person you have dialed can't take your call now.
Wholesaling. You can go seller finance. Wholesaling is really the act of sourcing the deals. So assignment of interest is what I'm looking to put into practice here. Again, because as long as you're sourcing the opportunity, that's what wholesaling is going direct to seller and getting the best deals. And then typically the exit strategy is assignment of interest, but you have way more exit strategies. Because again, you could wholesale the property, but then buy it yourself and fix it up and put tenants in there. You would still technically have wholesaled the property, but you just retained ownership. Man, it must be the time. Oh, you know what? Dang, I think it happened. About every 2 weeks, my phone number will get flagged as spam, just because I'm hitting it so hard that people are flagging it. So I make a point to test my number every day. I tested it this morning. It was all good, but typically you can kind of tell when people stop a while and then you can't call. You can call, but nobody's going to answer. That's how you can kind of have a feel for it, where it's like, it's a fresh list. So I'm calling these people for the first time. It's not like I've already dialed through these properties a bunch of times and just have the wrong numbers. It's, I'm calling through a fresh list and just not getting the proper contact rate. As if you heard, like I was going, then it says spam when you call. Yeah, it'll say spam likely. So I'm going to test it right now. I have a dummy property set up in my dialer so that I can just call myself and test the number. And that's the worst part. Yeah, I would prefer it censorship. That's the worst part, is that it doesn't tell me like your number's popping up. I just have to kind of figure it out based off the feel of it. So there it is. Wait, that's weird. Spam risk. Which is weird though, because that's the dialer calling me. That's not actually my caller ID. And that's my number. So it's not popping up as spam likely. That's really weird though. I've never had that number pop up as spam. So it's not popping up as spam. For sure censorship though. Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I guess it may just be the time of day. I'm just going to call it quits right there. Today, let's see how long I hit it. Not very long at all. Hit it for 45 minutes. Made 175 calls, 8 contacts. Pretty high contact rate. Typically looking for so that's 174 calls, but there's three numbers attached to each property. So I'm really called like 55 to 60 properties, and had 8 contacts. So yeah, pretty close to the 15% that I was talking about. It was much higher than that before I just started calling, but that's what I'm aiming for there. Pretty cool. I wish I could show you guys this, man. 175 calls today. Yeah. 834 calls this week so far. This week. Oh, that's just a running 7 days. So in the past 7 days, 834 calls, 44 contacts. That's super weak. I'm trying to get to the point where I'm hitting like 20 contacts a day, calling them all off your phone or running something through your computer. Yeah. So it's my power dialer. It's a Mojo dialer. So I mean, yeah, I'll pre-record a video because I can't go live with sharing my screen. But essentially, my whole process from power dialer, it's triple line dialer. So from the beginning to end, I'm literally just driving on Google Maps, finding the properties that look to be physically distressed, which kind of speaks to the seller's financial situation. I can assume that these people are the lower hanging fruit that will probably want to sell for quick cash. So I make a list of those properties, and about every 100 properties, I'm taking the batch of the 100, and then I'm running it through that skip tracing software that I was telling you about the other day. So then it kicks me back all the numbers, and then now I have a nice spreadsheet with the properties, the addresses, the homeowner's name, up to 10 phone numbers, up to 3 emails, and a bunch of other information about the property. And then I take that CSV file and I upload it into my dialer, and then it organizes it all perfect. And then it will, when I go to dial, I can call up to 3 properties at a time. So, and the program lists all that for you. Yeah. It's pretty nice. It's like, if you don't do it this way, you're not doing it right. Again, like the fact that I made that many calls in that little amount of time. I was hand dialing in the beginning, but it's like, yeah. Oh yeah. It's like this Mojo dialer. It's geared towards real estate professionals, as a lot of these power dialers are. But then yeah, you upload them in, and then it will call. I upload 3 phone numbers, the top 3 phone numbers, because they are listed in like terms of priority. Like number 1 is usually the homeowner. If it's not number 1, it's number 2. I put 3 just in case. I know a lot of the pros only do number 2, but then you're starting to weigh out like the cost benefit analysis, kind of like your time. Is it worth calling that extra phone number? To me, it is, because I'm not really in a place where I can, have that luxury of only calling the top 2 and being more efficient, but maybe losing out on leads. So I upload 3, and then it will dial 3 numbers at the same time. If one person picks up, it will automatically connect to that person, which is why you may hear there's sometimes a delay, which is why I typically don't call off of my Wi-Fi. They recommend that you like run the hard Ethernet into the wall for the best connectivity. I don't do that. So sometimes you'll hear a little bit of a lag, but that person will connect. I'll start my phone call with that person. If somebody else calls or answers while I'm on the phone, it will play them it's called a callback message. And I pre-recorded it. And what that sounds like is me saying hello, and then them probably saying hello, and then me saying hello as if I can't hear them. Like, hello, can you hear me? And then it hangs up. And then when I'm done with the first call, it will then transfer back to the other call, and I can see it'll say calling back, so that I know. And then I'll connect with them, and I typically start my conversations with them as, "Hey, I'm sorry about that. Is this person?" It's funny. Sometimes it will. Yeah, it's like a lot of times people who they'll get on the phone really frustrated, and I can tell like that my message worked. They'll be like, "Hello." So yeah, that's how that works. It happens a lot less frequently than you think. Maybe just a handful of times per session. But that's how, you work that. And then you kind of, depending on how the phone call goes, you can then place them into certain buckets, or I've created certain groups. So like warm lead, hot lead, not interested, realtor referral, like I was talking about, like a retail lead, a cash buyer. Sometimes I'll call people and they're like, no, I'm not selling, but I am in the market to buy something cash. So I'll take down their criteria. All right, what area are you looking at? What price points are you looking at? And then I'll put them into the cash buyer bucket. And then you can call through those buckets. It's just a way to kind of hold on to your data and hold on to your data, because I pay 15 cents per property to get these phone numbers and these emails. And just because somebody answers and says no doesn't mean that they won't sell in the future. So the big players have like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of records in their dialer. Doesn't mean that they call all of those people every day, obviously, but the pros will put themselves on a follow-up sequence for even the people who say not interested, which is something that I may do soon here. So they'll go through and you can put in filters for your dialer to say, I only want to call people who I talked to 6+ months ago that are in the not interested category. So now you're calling all these people who have already said that they're not interested, but you've given them 6 months, right? So I know people, depending on what type of list it is, the pros will kind of use the type of list to determine how frequently they follow up with the people who say no. So like my list, the driving for dollars list, where I'm identifying that these properties are in really bad shape, you want to, based on what I've learned, the pros are saying you want to follow up with that kind of list much more frequently than just like any old list, because that list, they are going to have to sell to an investor at one point in time. Whenever they decide to sell, they're not even going to have the option to list it on market, which is why you want to follow up with them more frequently than you would somebody else who said no. Again, I don't really have enough data in here right now. I have 61, close to 6,200 properties in my dialer. Just because my marketing budget's so low, I want to be able to support it where I get in, it's recommended like 2,000 a month, and then stay on the dialer for 3 to 5 hours a day, which is something that I'm for sure wanting to do. But I'm exchanging for sweat equity, right? Which is that driving for dollars process. So I'm going in there and I'm specifically identifying this property, whereas other people are just like pulling lists from the county and calling those. With those lists, they're going to be much more beat up. You're going to have a whole lot of, I get 30 calls a day, but there's still leads in there. So it's simpler and it's more convenient than like actually doing the work to build your own list. But building your own list has its benefits, right? Because you're going to call people that have never been called before. A lot of these people do pop up on other lists, like city violations, like code violations. That's a list that you can pull from the county. Like these people, a weed abatement, they don't cut their grass and it's gone too long. And then they'll start to get taxed for that. They'll start to charge the homeowners, every so often if they don't cut the grass, or if they just have a bunch of trash in their yard, right? They'll start to get code violations. So those are the type of people that are probably going to pop up on that list. So those people probably would be getting called a lot, but majority of the people have never been contacted. And it's just kind of refreshing to have that conversation with a lot of people where you're kind of making them an offer for the first time, or even asking them if they would accept an offer for the first time. And it's like, I get a lot of no, but thanks for calling. I really appreciate it. And that's way different than, man, I get 30 fucking calls a day. Don't lose my number, type of stuff. So, yeah, man, I'm going to call it quits right there. I'm going to shower up, eat something. Good luck on your burger hunt. DoorDash when I'm up there. When I'm at DoorDash, there. Yeah, where are you going? What part of the city? The program lists all that. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Up to the city, big moves. I want to see actually if this was the guy that I was supposed to be hearing from. 936. I think it was. No, I have his number saved. want to be by Dolores. Yeah. I can walk around easy with my dogs for sure. And it's more neighborhood. I don't like downtown craziness. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anywhere close to market. I mean, Dolores is a nice area for sure. So you don't have a place lined up, more neighborhood. I don't like that. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. She came through. Wow. Came through. Oh yeah, she does. Should keep her. All right, I'm gonna finish this. Feel good about the day. Wish my title company would get back to me, but I'm gonna call them tomorrow for sure. Everything needs to be finalized. I really wanted everything to get finalized for the deal today, but a couple things need to happen. Pretty confident that they can happen within the next few days. So keep your fingers crossed. 19th. Appreciate you guys for hopping on. Go ahead, drop a like for me. You know, the algorithm and all that good stuff. And Stu, man, subscribe, fool, if you're still here. No, you're not. Still wait on the screen share. I know that's something that I want to reinvest in quickly. Is a computer, desktop. Fake fan. Hey man, I appreciate it even if he has it in the background with the sound off. I'm sure it does help. Build one. Yeah, that's the plan, I think. I for sure am interested enough where I am trying to build one. Really easy, right? Yeah. I mean, I figure, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Again, I'm interested enough where it's not like, oh my God, I don't want to build one. But I'm definitely interested enough where it's like, all right, I'll do a little bit of research. I'll figure it out. Help you when it's more affordable and you can make one that fits your needs. Yeah, exactly. Really smart. Yeah, exactly. I like that though, what you're talking about. It's like the full customization, yeah, Legos, right? It's like I don't need like the fanciest of graphics cards. I just need it to be capable for doing the things that I want it to do. Which sounds like I'll be able to do for a fairly reasonable price. Exactly. All right. Appreciate you. I'll be on every day, Monday through Friday, multiple times. Go ahead, turn on that notification bell. That's a thing, right? Notification bell. That's what those people say, right? That's what the folks say. You know how what's going on there. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I'm pretty brain dead when it comes to inside of the computers. I know like the components and stuff, but I don't know how they mesh. We know these things. Yeah, smash that like button. Oh yeah. That's what they say. Smash that like button. That's right. Comments for anybody who has been watching this after the live. I really appreciate you because it's been a whole lot of mumbo jumbo for a while. But if you have anything positive or negative to say, I always want to invite that. I always want to invite because I don't want to come across like I know what I'm doing. So if you have any recommendations or suggestions, please feel free. Hit that like button, COVID-19. Jeez. And on that note, appreciate you. Peace.